Hearty good afternoon from the DB Audio Communication Studio in Windhoek, to our viewers at home particularly. But we have people in studio that you'll not be able to see. I'll gladly introduce them so that you have a sense who's with us in the room. We have, very pleased to have, honored to have, in fact, the Honorable Minister of Sport, Youth and National Service, Honorable Agnes Chongarero. Joining us as well this afternoon is the Managing Director of Nedbank Namibia, Ms. Martha Murorwa. We have the Chief Administrator of the Namibia Sports Commission, Mr. Simata Muya. Leander Borg and Manny Heymans join us this afternoon. They from Lema Events, the principal organizers of the Nedbank Desert Dash. Mr. Willie Verdoes, who joins us as dealer principal of one of our key sponsors, the Ondongo Toyota Group. Also in absentia, I wish to acknowledge Ms. Miranda Bosman, the dealer principal of the coastal wing, shall one call it, of Ondongo Toyota. The CFO, Chief Financial Officer of Eka & Fultz, Greg Chase, an avid cyclist and a good friend of ours, is here representing Superspar. And then Mr. Gili van Sail, the Chief Commercial Officer of Bokoma Namibia, joining us, I think, also for the first time in particularly a platinum sponsor category. All the other sponsors that we have here are members of the Fourth Estate. The media, they joining us next door, and we'll shortly join them as well for a bit of tete-a-tete, as it were. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon once more. My name is Gernot de Klerk. I'm the Communications Manager at Nedbank Namibia. Certainly a privilege to be speaking to you about the Nedbank Desert Dash. And the Nedbank Desert Dash is a big deal. That's really why all of us are here in the room, and while each one of us has an intrinsic stake in the Nedbank Desert Dash, it's a big deal because it's of national importance. It's part of cycling folklore that transcends our country's borders. Now, they speak about the Nedbank Desert Dash, I assure you, in the Swiss Alps. They speak about it across the plains of the Serengeti. We've had Tanzanian riders here before. They speak about it on the hills and the hangs of Mount Kilimanjaro. But it's the Namibian desert that will be lit up on the 11th of December as 1,000 cyclists really brave quite a quiet, desolate space in the Namib Desert on a night of solitude, in a quiet, empty place that's really just alive because of the sheer strength of will and because of the sheer energy that everybody exudes once the start happens from Grove Mall Friday, the 11th of December. Leander Borg will speak a little bit to more detail about what the logistical arrangements are. But I think as one cycles through the night, quiet evening where really just the animals' eyes being lit up in the arc of your light beam on your bicycle, all that you've got to trust is the hours of preparation that had gone into preparing for the world's longest single-stage mountain bike race. It's an honor to have you. Thank you so much for joining us online. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may, call on the Managing Director of Nedbank Namibia, Ms. Martha Murorwa, for her official address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, Sports, Youth and National Services, Honorable Agnes Chongarero, our richly appreciated co-sponsors of the Namibian Nedbank Desert Dash, my Nedbank Namibian colleagues, our media friends, ladies and gentlemen. I also welcome you on this bright spring afternoon to launch the 2020 edition of our Nedbank Desert Dash. October has always been the month when the official launch of the Nedbank Desert Dash take place, and we are excited for this opportunity to speak about our country's most iconic cycling race. This year's launch has perhaps presented the most complexities because of the times we live in. At our first official launch as headline sponsor on the 20th of October 2015, there was great uncertainty, as it was our first experience of this magical event. At that point in time, we felt that our dominance of cycling in Namibia is complete, and the intervening years have proven it to be so. At the first launch, we also promised a cycling experience unlike any other. And this is what defines the Nedbank Desert Dash. Each of the cyclists has a very specific reason or a cause why they take on the grueling race. And I actually told my colleagues I can only do 5, and after 5 I'm finished. So to talk about the kilometers that people need to travel, it's really something out of this world. Over the next few weeks, we will be celebrating this cause and profile the teams and individuals who cycle for a cause greater than themselves. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, friends of the media. Although we have had great uncertainties throughout 2020, we remained absolutely certain that we want the DASH experience to remain the same. The future will remember 2020 for the fact that it was immensely difficult to make any accurate predictions. Where we could not say a few weeks with absolute certainty that we will even have a 2020 edition of the Nedbank Desert Dash, this afternoon we are able to share some of the race updates with you. Also in 2020, we did not have certainty that the race will attract its usual numbers, and I can share with you now that we'll have over 1,000 cyclists once more. The final entries were completed literally a few days ago, and if I'm correct, it was last week Friday that we have completed the final entries. And at a broad level, we'll have 212 solo cyclists, of whom 18 will be female participants, 126 two-persons teams, 134 four-persons teams, and even with great uncertainty over international travel, by last week Friday's count, we'll have a contingent of international riders that constitutes 35% of the overall total. I think that is a remarkable number, a percentage that we have achieved for the international riders. The hospitality of the hosting municipalities in Windhoek and Swakopmund has been exceptional over the years, and we extend our most sincere gratitude towards the mayors and councillors, management teams for their support. The traffic officials particularly always go out of their way to ensure safe passage for the participants, and I deeply thank you for this. To Lema Events, Leander, Mani, Johan and your teams, thank you for your stellar work to prepare for this race in the most extraordinary circumstances. As I alluded already, it was complete uncertainties whether this will take place, but you have still continued to organize the race in the same fashion that you are always doing it. A race of this extent is not just possible without the support of our core sponsors. We owe you everything for coming on board year after year, and we deeply appreciate you. So thank you for your altruism. Thank you to the team of Nedbank Namibia for all the work that you put into making the Namibian Desert Dash such a great experience every year. A special word of praise and gratitude needs to be reserved for the brave Nedbank Desert Dash participants that are now the colleagues from Nedbank who is taking part in this race. The race is what it is because of you. At the end of this year's dash, you will have cycled through the dark desert nights once more and see the sun rise over the beautiful empty space of Dorap National Park. You will undoubtedly have experienced tiredness beyond imagination, but you will be remembered by history. You will feel on top of the world once more. May you have only fond memories in the years to come about the 2020 edition of the Nedbank Desert Dash, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Murorwa, for those inspiring words. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a special word of welcome to our Honourable Minister of Youth, actually of Sport, Youth and National Service, who now join us for the keynote address, Madam Agnes Chongarero.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ms. Martha Murorwa, Managing Director of Nedbank Namibia, and your executive committee team. Mr. Simata Muya, Chief Administrator of the Namibia Sport Commission. The organizing team, represented by the principals of LEMA events, representatives of the Nedbank Desert Dash co-sponsors, colleagues from the sport fraternity, esteemed members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, actually. It's not good morning. It is indeed an honor to be invited as a speaker on this occasion of the Nedbank Desert Dash. Thus, Ms. Murorwa, thank you very much for the invite. In the past, I have been attending numerous of Nedbank-sponsored cycling events, of which some were inland and some abroad. But I must admit, this is the first time to officiate at the launching of the Nedbank Desert Dash. The Nedbank Desert Dash has been in existence for, I must maybe say, now more than 2 decades. Its proud history, I am reliably informed, tells of a tale where few friends challenge each other to see whether they have the durability to cycle non-stop from Windhoek to Swakopmund. It must have been sounded impossible at that time, but now the race is known internationally. For the 6th time, Nedbank is hosting it this year, and each year it seems to be growing more and more. Director of Proceedings, allow me to extend my gratitude to the LEMA events and Nedbank teams, for this couldn't have been possible without them. Your hard work and dedication is highly appreciated. I just say thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, where you are sitting, give them a round of applause. Ms. Murorwa, I can only imagine the sleepless nights you had, wondering whether the event will take place this year. Taking cognizance of the fact that many international showpieces have been either postponed or cancelled, including the 2020 Olympic Games. So our 3 cyclists, I can name them, Dan Craven, Mr. Omaruru, Michelle Foster, and Alex Miller, as well as our current Olympians, must have felt some frustration at not being able to compete against the world's best. It is pleasing to know that Nedbank Namibia team has stayed in contact with Mr. Muya and his team at the Namibia Sport Commission to keep tabs on sporting regulations. And I appreciate this professional courtesy. Likewise, the commitment by the Nedbank Desert Dash organizers to refund the entry fees of all participants in full at the time of opening the online entries in June this year has shown that they respect the regulations that COVID-19 has enforced on us. Like all of us, I assure you that the government of the Republic of Namibia keeps an ever watchful eye on these developments. And we will keep advising the organizers on any possible changes in this regard. At this stage, we have confidence that any prevailing regulations will be adhered to. Director of Proceedings, ladies and gentlemen, the Nedbank Desert Dash has always attracted some top international riders to our shores. This means that we have an opportunity to test ourselves against international competitors right here at our backyard. Even with the current global uncertainties over international travel issues, the organizers have informed me that, and the MD also said that about 35% of this year's participants will be international riders. About 290 cyclists hold South African citizenship, with Germany and the UK that will be represented by 18 and 12 riders respectively. I have to say that I'm really pleased to see some other riders from our continent also joining in this year, with Botswana, Malawi, Angola, and Zimbabwe all going to be represented in the 2020 Nedbank Desert Dash. It is also good to hear that we will also have our Congolese cyclists participating this year, alongside riders from as far as afield as Austria, Canada, Spain, and Portugal. And in case you are wondering, whoever you are just wondering, yes, I believe Switzerland's Connie Lusa will renew his rivalry with Dusty Day once more this year to defend his multiple Nedbank Desert Dash solo champion status. Director of Proceedings. Our two men cyclists going to the Tokyo Olympic Games in 2021, Dan Craven and Alex Miller, are in opposing two-man teams this year, with Dan pairing up with reigning African champion Tristan DeLange, and Alex teaming up with Bram Vermeulen. There will certainly be fiercely rivalry in this category. I'm sure the organizers will share further insights into some of the expected podium positions in the various categories. But every single cyclist entering for the Nedbank Desert Dash is a champion in their own right. Thank you, Nedbank Namibia, for supporting the growth of cycling in our country alongside the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service, the Namibia Sport Commission, the Namibia Cycling Federation, and the many, many volunteers in various cycling clubs. The sport is only growing so impressively because of the work that all of you are doing. I wish the 1,000 cyclists currently preparing to take on the 373-kilometer race through the Namib Desert all the best with their current preparations. I admire your bravery and trust that your experience this year will be truly tremendous and memorable, and I thank you.
Honourable Minister, and I have to echo your sentiments. I think the tremendous engagements that we've had, very positive, always constructive, with the Namibia Sports Commission have been excellent. So, Mr. Muya, to your team as well, thank you so much for those engagements and the guidance that you always give us. Let's speak about the race itself, and next up I'll invite from Lema Events, Mr. Leander Borg.
To speak last is always quite difficult because all the facts and figures and so on has all been mentioned already. So luckily I didn't prepare much of a speech. I think what is important, I mean, 2020 is really, really a special year. Not just the number 2020 is already quite a big deal. It'll look good on kit and bottles and whatsoever. But with the COVID situation that we've had, if I can just remember, I think it was in the beginning of March was the first indication that something is happening. And obviously the Nedbank Desert Dash, we normally launch in June, the registrations. And we had our first meeting, I think, end of March at Nedbank headquarters. And I really have to applaud Nedbank and all the other sponsors as well, actually. There was never a question of, is the event going to run or not? It was always from the beginning, yes, of course. I mean, as Gernot said in the beginning, this is a big deal. Nedbank Desert Dash is not just a race anymore. It's become a legend. It's been going for 16 years now, 373 kilometers, most of it through the night. It somehow has created a vibe and a life of itself. I think people, especially this year, has given them something to train for. Audience here, but if there was applause, there would be applause now. Then, of course, from an organizing point of view, we still don't know really what's going to happen as far as COVID regulations are concerned. So we will roll with it. We have a plan B, we have a plan C. So depending on what the regulations are from government, we just want to ensure everybody. Just a quick recap for those that don't know how the Desert Dash works. So on Thursday, the night before, we always have a big registration with a big meal sponsored by SuperSpa. Of course, this year, maybe it's not possible. Maybe we can't have 1,000 people sharing a meal and having a presentation. We'll do what we're doing now. We'll do a digital thing, or we'll reduce it in numbers. So all we want to convey to everybody participating, whether it's the start, the race itself shouldn't be a problem because 1,000 people over 373 kilometers, there's no social distancing problem. But the finish line in Swakopmund, the same thing. It's a big thing, big tent, big gathering. These things we might have to adjust. So as we get closer to the time, maybe COVID is hopefully something.
Much Leander Borg. Next up, always a keen sponsor, and when the call first went out, the minute Nedbank Namibia started getting in.
All protocol observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As part of the Indongo group of companies, Indongo Motors is extremely proud to be associated with this legendary event. It's for a long time now an international event. And I think it's one of the only really great international events presented by Namibia and local sponsors So for all the sponsors involved in this challenging year, I think you can take a hat off that you're still involved. Then, as Indongo Toyota, we will obviously be at the starting point if there is a physical starting point, as mentioned, and we will be at the finishing line. We will also man the first water point, and that's the one on top of the first grueling 30 kilometers. And we will be there to support all cyclists with refreshments, supplements, and so on. Being an ex-participant of the Dash myself, and being a support vehicle driver for many a team and solo riders, I know what the Dash is all about. The Dash is an event that's really throwing anything that nature can throw to you as a cyclist, and specifically a mountain biker. So you can expect anything: heat, cold temperatures, dust, stones, corrugated roads, even animals at night time. So it's really, really something out of the ordinary. I think one is very much privileged if you can participate in the event itself. Obviously, there's a lot of preparation going into it. You cannot tackle it if you're not very well prepared as a cyclist. And without support teams, without sponsors, without everybody supporting it, it cannot happen, and it will not happen. So once you arrive at the finishing point, it's something that you have achieved, especially if you achieve it before the cut-off time. Nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can do it on your behalf. It's just a challenge between yourself and your body and the machine that you're cycling with. So I think once you've ended, if you finalized the whole race and you come to the finishing line, you can really pat yourself on the shoulder for a great achievement. And it can also bode well for other areas of work and play in your life. So it really, really is something that I think one must try once in your life, even if you're going to battle. And believe you me, you will. So from my side, I would like to thank all the co-sponsors. I would like to thank all the spectators, all the support staff, everybody that's involved in the race, and especially the organizers. Without them, there will be no such an event. 2020, as mentioned, definitely a very strange year, very difficult year, and it's still not done and dusted yet. But we trust that everything will normalize again, and I know and I hope that everything will just carry on and the event will take place as normal, as properly, as it's expected. So from my side, I would just like to say thank you to everybody and God bless. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, distinguished guests. I think, as the Honourable Minister said, the Dash has been involved or has been ongoing for a number of decades. I think not quite as long as Wekke and Vogts has been around, since 1892. But I would like to think that had it been around, we would have been associated with the Dash since 1892. I think it's been said that 2020 has been a really challenging year. And I think that the efforts that Lima Events and Nedbank have gone to make sure this thing goes ahead really speaks to the passion and the commitment that they've got towards cycling in Namibia. And I think those values sort of align with the values of Wekke and Vogts. represented by Grove Super Spa, Marua Super Spa. So we're very happy to be involved, and we are very fortunate to be associated with this great event. Typically what we do is, as Leander said, the Thursday evening before, we feed the masses. So that in itself is a challenge. Feeding 1,000+ people in the subterranean parking lot is never simple. But it's something that we take on as a challenge, as doing the dash is a challenge. And so we're really excited about this year. We don't know how it's going to happen, as Leander said, but we're very happy to be involved, and we are very fortunate to be associated with this event. As Mr. Fudus said, it is a challenging event. It's going into battle. And I thought about the words that you could use to sort of describe the event. And in the beginning, there's a lot of camaraderie, there's friendship, there's excitement, anticipation. And then you get on the road and you start thinking, this is a challenge, this is tough. Have I made a mistake? And you've got to bite the bullet, you've got to dig deep, and it starts becoming a physical challenge, a mental challenge. And all these things kind of add up to making this a really iconic event. I mean, there's not many places that you can do an event traveling through one of the oldest deserts in the world, landing up at the coast. I mean, the sense of achievement, the sense of satisfaction at having done that, particularly as a solo rider, I think is unrivaled. So, yeah, we're very happy to be associated with it, and we wish the event all the best of luck. And I'm doing a solo this year, so I'm very excited. Can't wait for it to come. Thank you very much.
Honourable Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is indeed a privilege to be here today as one of the co-sponsors of the Nedbank Desert Dash. We are not new to the event. Marathon Sugar, which is one of the leading brands in the country, is belonging to Bokomo, Namibia. And Marathon Sugar over the years supported the event through sponsorship of various individuals participating in the event. And at one stage we also did some innovative marketing, which was picked up by Leander Borg, and he then not so politely forced us to formalize our arrangement with the Desert Dash, which we gladly do now, and we're very proud to be associated with the event. You'll remember that the Marathon Sugar wing was flying for the past 3 years at the Desert Dash. Now it will still be flying, but it's now well organized and allowed. Thank you for that, Leander. The Desert Dash is the main cycling event on the Namibian calendar, and it involves family and friends of all the participants to the event. And that's important to realize as a sponsor. We at Bokomo are proud to be associated with such a prestigious event and believe it deserves the support of leading brands in this country. The event attracts many international participants due to the nature of the challenge, and as such, Namibia, and for that matter, Africa, gets positive international exposure, which is very important for our country. The cyclists' support following of the event is very special to see and experience. The halfway point is such a place where you can see that, and it's very special because it's a mini town that is set up in one day, works during the night, and is dismantled in the next morning. Bokomo will be hosting the halfway point this year. Bokomo Namibia is involved in many other social responsibility programs all over the country. This event is no exception, where we, for instance, also sponsor the Pay Children, Physical Active Youth of Katatura, a group of children that would not have been able to participate if it weren't for this sponsorship. And we are glad to be in a position to make it possible for them. And lastly, but not least, thank you once again, Leander and your team, for the opportunity to be part of this prestigious event. Thank you very much.
I think in closing, let this be the message then that reverberates around the world. Yes, the 2020 edition of the Nedbank Desert Dash is on. Yes, it's happening on Friday, the 11th of December, and we look forward to seeing all of you at the starting line and particularly at the finish line at Platzermeer in Swakopmund. Let me then thank the Honourable Minister of Sport, Youth and National Service, Honourable Agnes Chongarero, for your kind words this afternoon. Also to the Nedbank Namibia Managing Director, thank you for your inspiring words. To everybody that had shared some insights, thank you so much. Leander, Mani, I know he's joining us next door. And to Johan Pretorius, thank you for the awesome work that you do. To all our co-sponsors, we appreciate the effort over and above what you're putting in from a financial resources perspective, but the effort that you go to support these most iconic events. We're deeply gratified for that honor to work alongside yourselves, and can't wait for the next few weeks and the next few months as we develop the plans to make this one of the most memorable events in the history of the Nedbank Desert Dash. To our viewers at home, thank you so much for joining us, and from us here at the DB Audio Communication Studio, it's goodbye and thank you.